Oh, you make me sick.
Oh, well, luckily I've always got half woman, half penguin to keep me company because of the... She's a fan of me one. Everybody needs a half woman, half penguin in their lives. There'll be more Confrontation Street next week. But right now, here's brand new Horrible Histories Gory Games. Have a little look at it, why don't you know?
If mummies, rats and fleas ain't your thing, and you don't like the sound of an exploding king, if you're easily scared and don't laugh at poo, you better turn off, this show ain't for you. Still watching? Then let's test your brains with Horrible Histories Gory Games. Horrible Histories Gory Games.
Hello and welcome to Gory Games with me, Dave Lamb, and my assistant, Rattus.
Before we go any further, can I just say that rats are known as dirty creatures that carry numerous highly infectious diseases, but I have undergone rigorous checks for those diseases, and I can assure you I have every single one. Want some salmonella?
No, just keep on your side of the desk, all right, Rattus? Lovely. This is the show where you get to test your knowledge of horrible histories with quirky quiz questions and gory games. So before I catch anything from Rattus, let's meet today's horrible historians.
Hello, I'm Slimy Stuart Thomas. Hi, I'm Harriet. Hi, I'm Dominic.
Whoa, look out, it's Dominic. Right. OK. Sorry, have you not got one of your terrible games for us at the start?
No, I'm spent.
Well, good. Excellent. Let's get on with today's show, then.
Oh, no! Do you know what? We could play a game from ancient Greece that I like to call Don't Cry For Me.
Great.
This contest used to take place in front of a statue of Artemis. Now, Spartan boys were super tough, so this game is a real test of endurance. Basically, each of our contestants is flogged until they cry out in pain. Last one to cry out wins.
What?
Ah, right then, Dave, if you'd be so good as to do the flogging, because my little arm...
No, don't panic, all right? Absolutely not. That is not going to happen. Not on my watch. You can't flog our contestants.
Oh, come on, I'm bringing history to life.
Well, me too. Throughout history, rats have travelled long distances aboard ships, just as you're about to.
Uh-oh. Ow! What if I promise to behave?
What do you think? Shall we let him out?
Give him another chance.
You're very lucky, Rattus. But I have to say, this is your very last chance.
Again?
Right then, Thomas, Harriet, Dominic, you are playing to win year spheres. Each year sphere contains a historical date, and at the end of the show, your year sphere dates will be added up, with AD dates being added to your total and BC dates being subtracted from it. So if these were your year spheres, we'd add 1,215 and then subtract 480, giving us a total of, Rattus?
Does it start with a 7?
It does.
Does it end with a 5?
Yes.
Has it got a 3 in the middle?
It has.
Is it 24?
It's not. It's 735. At the end of the show, the person with the highest year score will win a unique historical prize.
Something I picked out of the time series myself. Something that you'll never, ever forget.
Mainly because you'll never be able to wash off the smell. OK, off we go. And to find out what round one's all about, it's over to the Gory Grid.
It's the Terrible Tudors.
Your 4 Tudor topics are executions, war, music and sport. So, Thomas, you get to pick first in this round. Pick away.
Executions, please.
Executions. Let's hear the question.
True or false? I cried at the execution of my wife, Anne Boleyn.
Is that true or false? Everybody has gone for false. Are they all right or all wrong?
It's false! I wasn't even at her execution. In fact, people say I was busy playing tennis. I couldn't possibly confirm one way or the other. Naughty Henry.
What a naughty monarch. So, Harriet, it's your turn to pick a topic.
Sport.
Sport. It is, in fact, a prop question.
Prop question, prop question, prop question, prop question. He's got a big stick, shush, shush.
Yes, exactly. True or false? The Tudor sport of cudgelling involved hitting your opponent with a heavy stick until they bled. Let's see those answers now, please. Interesting. They've all gone for true. I can tell you that the answer is true. Well done. The first person to make the other bleed won.
It makes the sport of boxing look positively sensible.
Indeed it does. Serious moment. Please do not try cudgelling at home. Dominic, your turn to choose a topic.
War.
Let's hear that question.
Is this true or false? Sir Francis Drake's navy sunk 76 enemy Spanish ships of the Spanish Armada.
So, is that true or is that false? Well, a little bit of disagreement this time. Dominic and Harriet going for false. Thomas out on his own with true. Let's find out what the answer is.
It's false. Drake only sunk 16 Spanish ships. The other 60 were sunk thanks to the British weather.
So, our lousy British weather's good for something after all. Your final category is music. Let's hear that question.
True or false? I was a keen musician and owned 78 flutes.
Let's see those answers now, please. Harriet and Thomas agreeing on true. Dominic out on his own this time with false. What's the answer?
It's true. I also own 10 trombones, 14 trumpets, 76 recorders, 5 bagpipes, and I was a keen singer.
Think I'd rather listen to the bagpipes.
I heard that.
Oops. So, Harriet, you've won the quiz. Time to choose your year sphere, and it's pot luck. Pick one with a Stone Age date in it, and you could score a few million minus points. Pick one that the rats touched, and you could catch salmonella.
Oh, it's win-win-win, Harriet! Ah, there you go. Come and pick your year sphere. Anyone you like. Interesting. Maybe foolish.
So winning the quiz means that Harriet is automatically through to play the Tudor game, but will she be alone or will everyone get to play? Let's find out. It's an all-play brainy game, so it's off down the time sewer with a lot of you. Go on, Dominic, lead off.
I'll get you back for this, Dave.
Queen Elizabeth I was no oil painting, so when she had oil paintings done, she made sure that the artists copied portraits from her youth when she was prettier, rather than have them paint the rotten-toothed, pock-marked reality. It's time to play
Puzzling portraits.
Your challenge is to assemble 2 perfect copies of an Elizabeth portrait. The only problem is your 2 puzzles are made out of differently shaped pieces. Complete your puzzles quicker than the other horrible historians to win the year sphere. In 3, 2, 1. So here we go then with puzzling portraits, Rassus. 2 portraits of Queen Elizabeth I, different sized pieces. Harriet could have the advantage here, being a girl. Girls tend to do well at this, I find, Rassus.
It's multi-skilling allows him to do that, I think, Dave.
I think you're absolutely right. It's a cagey opening from Dominic too. He's having a good look. You don't want to go just charging in there, do you, Rassus? Popping stuff down willy-nilly.
No, that's not a good way to start at all.
And, well, look at this. Harriet does seem to be doing rather well. Working on 2 puzzles at once, of course. Dominic, very different in his tactics there. Look, he's trying to complete one first and then move on to the second. 2 very different approaches. I will say that Harriet seems to be doing incredibly well now. Thomas is going to have to go some to win it from here. That doesn't look like Elizabeth. That looks like someone in a hall of mirrors. But Harriet, look at her, taking her time, composure personified.
Certainly is. Have you ever noticed, Dave, what a shifty-looking Queen Elizabeth I is? She really does look like she's up to something in that portrait.
Well, I'm glad you said that because, of course, her distant relative Elizabeth II still very much alive. If she happened to be watching, that could be trouble for you, Rattus. Big trouble.
She's just as shifty-looking.
Well, he said it again there, Ma'am. I want to make it clear that's not my opinion. But in the meantime, Harriet is doing extremely well here. She's only got a couple of pieces remaining. It's looking very, very good for Harriet. Yes, it's all over. 2 portraits completed. And there she is. Double single-digit salute. Oh, Harriet is someone who knows how to celebrate. Harriet, go and pick up your year sphere. Well done. Was it not complicated for you doing them both at the same time?
I've had a lot of experience with 750-piece puzzles.
Right, and this was only about 20 pieces with the 2 of them, wasn't it? On to round 2, and to find out what's up next, it's over to the gory grid.
It's the Rotten Romans.
And here are your 4 Roman topics. Toothpaste, emperors, cabbages, and punishments. So, Harriet, it's your turn to pick first this time. What's it going to be?
Toothpaste.
Toothpaste.
What did we Romans use for toothpaste? A. powdered rat brains, B, powdered mouse brains, or C, powdered crocodile skin?
Let's see those answers now then, please. Interesting. Everybody has gone for B. Are they all right or all wrong?
The answer is B, powdered mouse brains. Minty fresh and squeaky clean.
Obviously, a powdered rat brain would be absolutely no use at all. Far too small. Right, Dominic, your turn to pick a topic.
Emperors.
Emperors. Let's hear that question.
Emperor Caligula was very hairy and was said to look like which animal? A, a monkey, B, a goat, or C, a rat?
Let's have a look at those answers. Everybody has gone for A. Let's see if they're right.
The answer is B, a goat. In fact, Caligula was quite touchy about it. If you said the word goat in his presence, he would have you executed.
Of course, being told you look like a rat would just be a compliment.
In your dreams. Right, Thomas, your turn to pick.
Punishments.
Punishments.
What was the Roman punishment for killing your own father? Was it being A, thrown off a cliff, B, fed to the lions, or C, tied in a sack with wild animals and thrown in a river?
You're smiling, Dominic. Do you think you know this one?
Yeah.
Excellent, good. Let's have some answers. Well, the boys agreeing on C's, Harriet on her own with A. What's the answer?
The answer is C. You were tied in a sack with wild animals and thrown in a river, usually with a snake, a cockerel, a monkey and a dog.
Well, that seems desperately unfair. Had the animals killed their own fathers as well?
Well, I don't imagine so, no. Just a bit of bad luck for them. So, the final question this round is on cabbages. And it is a prop question.
Oh, prep question, prep question, prep question.
A Roman cure for feeling unwell involved eating cabbage for a day and then what? Was it A, eating nothing else for a week, B, making yourself sick it all up again, or C, collecting and drinking your own cabbagey wee? Let's see those answers now, please. The boys agreeing on C, Harriet on her own with B. The answer is C. Well, of course it is. They'd collect and drink their own cabbagey wee. So, a point each for the boys. Thomas and Dominic, it's fingers on buzzers time, because we're going to have the tie-break question. Beginning with the letter T, what item of clothing was worn by posh men in Rome? Yes, Dominic.
Toga.
Toga is absolutely right. Go and collect your first year sphere. So, Dominic, you're through to play the Roman game, but will it be an all-play or a single-player game? Let's find out now. It's an all-play gory game, so that means it's back off down the time sewer with a lot of you. Oh!
Oh. No!
There's really not much you could teach the Romans about sieges, apart from maybe the concept of playing fair. Because the Romans just loved to catapult awful things at enemy fortresses. It's time to play...
Savage Siege!
Yes, they'd fire rocks, beehives, and even the severed heads of captured defenders. Your challenge is to fire as many missiles into your fortress target as possible. The person who gets the most in the time limit wins the year sphere. So, catapults at the ready in 3, 2, 1... So, it's Savage Siege. They've all gone for a rock first up. Let's see how they go with these. Bang, one. Bang, two. Can he make it a hat-trick? No, he can't. Well, that was a shame. That was a very exciting start, wasn't it, Rattus? Rattus!
Certainly was, Dave. It was a very exciting start. I was waiting for... Yes, and there it is! There's the third one! There's the third stone. It is a hat-trick!
And the first beehive going in the middle there. Harriet using a beehive. Look at that. There's a decapitated head. Beautiful technique from Dominic. Oh, what style he has. Just watch this. He pulls it back and a little leap as if he's putting topspin on it. Oh, meanwhile, though, Harriet into the lead. Wonderful with 4 points already. Thomas straight back at her with 3. Well, look at Harriet wrestling with that decapitated head. She's probably got a bit of blood on her hand there. Not very pleasant. The one goes sailing over the top there. Well, Thomas literally doesn't know his own strength on the end.
I don't know the difference between rocks and boulders, Dave. Is it an international issue, or...?
It's a highly technical difference, Rattus. I won't trouble you with it now, but suffice to say there is a difference. It's just very, very small. Thomas and Harriet level pegging, 5 points apiece. And here comes Dominic. He's making his way back.
30 seconds.
If he could land this, it would help him. He's not quite done it. There's 30 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. It's neck and neck. And here comes Dominic too. It really is very close. Oh, that one bounces in nicely there for Thomas. He's in the lead at a crucial stage.
Oh, and another severed head hits its mark there. It may be a severed head, but at least he gets to travel.
At least he gets to travel indeed. There are seconds remaining here. It's looking like it's Thomas's. No, it's not Thomas's. Harriet has tied it at the last second. What a shot that was. Thomas and Harriet get a year sphere each. Thomas, you go first and select yours, please. Look at that cautious selection. And Harriet, help yourself to your third. Those weren't the only terrible tactics that the Romans would use. They'd also dump dead animals into their enemy's water supply so they'd fall ill, because sick soldiers are much easier to defeat than healthy ones.
Oh, that's weird. In my experience, rotting animals just make things taste better.
Which is why, to this day, I have never, ever agreed to come round to yours for dinner. Over to the gory grid to find out what's up next.
It's the vile Victorians. Good day.
And here are your all-important Victorian topics. Factories, eccentrics, cats, and gadgets. So, Dominic, it's your turn to lead us off this time. What's it going to be?
Factories.
Factories. Let's hear that question.
True or false? In some factories, managers would alter the clock so you'd be late for work.
Everybody thinks it's true. Let's find out.
It's true. It happened to me, and then the bosses fined me threepence for being late. 3 old pennies. I mean, where am I supposed to find that kind of money from?
That's what I'm paid for doing this show. That and all the canteen waste I can eat.
Lovely. Thomas, it's your turn to pick a topic.
Gadgets, please.
Gadgets. That is a prop question. Get a load of that. True or false? This was a Victorian device for automatically making you a cup of tea in the morning. You've all gone for true. Well done. You're all absolutely right. It's absolutely true. You just set the time on the clock and have a nice brew in the morning. So, 2 points apiece. Harriet, your turn to pick a topic.
Cats.
Cats. And that is a question from Mr. Rattus Rattus.
True or false? Victorian scientist Charles Babbage got a law passed stopping street performers because they were too noisy. So some street protesters threw dead cats at him.
Is that true or is that false? Interesting. Everybody has gone for false. Rattus, what's the answer?
It's true! So they were bad protesters, but good cats. That's because I think the only good cat is a dead cat.
Yes, can I just apologise for the fact that my co-presenter is a rat? Final question this round, then. The question is on eccentrics. Let's hear what it is.
Is this true or false? The second Baron Rothschild was an eccentric Victorian who drove around in a carriage pulled by rhinos.
Let's see those answers now, please. Oh, total agreement once again. Everybody's gone for false. Let's find out.
It's false.
Yes, his carriage was actually pulled by zebras.
I wonder if he stopped or crossed at a zebra crossing.
Interesting. I'll get back to you on that one. So, it's a three-way tie, which means fingers on buzzers, please. Beginning with the letter H. What was the surname of the famous detective created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle? Sherlock. Dominic.
Holmes.
Holmes is absolutely right. Well done, Dominic. Help yourself to another year sphere. OK, Dominic is the quiz winner. He's through to play the Victorian game, but will it be just him, or will the others get to play too? Let's find out. It's a single-player, brainy game. So, Dominic, engage the old grey matter and get yourself down that time. Isambard Kingdom Brunel was a brilliant professional engineer but a rubbish amateur magician. He once made a coin disappear, but not quite how he'd planned. He managed to get the coin lodged in his windpipe. He eventually dislodged it using a clever device. It's time to play...
Barmy Brunel!
Your challenge is to work out which cog goes where. Once they're all in the right place, you can turn the wheel and flip the patient, upside down to dislodge the coin and win your year sphere. But be quick, you're against the clock, which is starting to tick and also to tock. Now... Here goes Dominic with Barmy Brunel. There you go. That's a tiny little cog. That's no use. That's not going to work, Dominic, but he's quickly worked that out. I like that about this lad. He works things out quickly, doesn't he, Rattus?
He's certainly considering each cog in turn, Dave.
Yeah, that's the way to do this. It's trial and error, and again, he's understood that that is just too small for that slot. So well played, Dominic. Lovely. And that is a likely-looking cog for me. That's going to slot neatly in there next to the crank cog. And there it is. Beautiful. The first cog in place. Now, what's he going to do now, Rattus?
He's going to try another cog, Dave, as that's the fundamental principle of the game.
Yeah, well, very good. Well done. I think Brunel seems to be asleep. Let's hope he's not choking too badly, of course. The coin currently lodged in his throat. Let's hope he's still alive, because Dominic's taking his time, as he should. But it's time well spent, I have to say that. There's another likely-looking cog. Look at that. That's large enough to fit in there for me. Oh, it's not quite large enough. Well, this is the game, you see. He's working his way methodically through, and I think, inevitably, he's going to do it because he's got enough time left, hasn't he, Rattus?
He has plenty of time.
Just one cog remaining now. One cog between Brunel and safety. There goes a tiny little one, and it's working, and there goes Brunel. He's flipped up the coins in the roof of his mouth, and he's got it. Yes. Dominic has the saliva-covered coin. He is a lifesaver. Well done, Dominic. Help yourself to another year sphere. Isambard Brunel was probably the greatest Victorian engineer, famous for designing bridges, railways and steamships. People called him the Little Giant, because the great man was only 5 foot tall.
Thereby proving great things come in small packages.
Sometimes. Over to the Gory Grid one last time to find out who we've got.
It's the measly Middle Ages.
So, no quirky quiz in our final round. It's straight to our big all-play Middle Ages game. And it is a very messy one. So, come on, everyone, get down that time sewer.
I was beginning to get used to the smell.
Well, Thomas might be used to the smell of the time sewer, but I can smell something disgusting. And for once, I don't think it's Rattus. Which can mean only one thing. Let's have a go at...
Gong farming.
Gong was a Middle Ages word for poop. Your job is to collect the gong from the cesspit, carry it along your lane and slop it into your measuring cylinder. Whoever collects the most collects the year sphere, but beware. Some Middle Ages types would poo directly onto the street below, so your lane is going to get very, very slippery. Ready? Steady? Get slopping. Here we go then with gong farming, and Thomas is off to a flyer. Look at that, he's got down to his bucket of poo first. There we go.
Well, they've all got a good bucket full there, Dave.
They certainly have. They've got to make their way very carefully because once the lane becomes slippery, it's very difficult to deal with. And Thomas, oh dear me, Thomas is down already, and that could be disastrous for Thomas. I'm sorry, you do not want a wet lane at this stage of proceedings. And his is soaking, and his trousers are soaking. He can barely stand up. Look at that, he's all over the shop.
It's no good, Dave. There's laughter, he's smiling. I think he's really lost his impetus. He's just enjoying rolling around in poop.
Yeah, and why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? Meanwhile, of course, Harriet is getting on with the game. And look at that. That's a full bag's worth she's delivered there, and so too has Dominic. That's an impressive score.
That's 2 full buckets of poop she's managed to get across already.
Yes, and Thomas is desperately trying to stand up, and it's not working for him. He really is I think he's gonna throw that bucket. I mean, that is desperation at this stage of the game, to be throwing your bucket at the measuring cylinder, and he's missed by a considerable distance.
Wouldn't have mattered if it had have hit it, Dave. It had nothing in it. It was an empty bucket.
As indeed is Harriet. She's just delivered another massive payload, and so too has Dominic. They're both doing incredibly well. Thomas isn't. Lord alone knows what's going to happen when the poo drops from above, which it surely will fairly soon now. And look at him, he's absolutely struggling, forlornly takes his bucket back to the other end, having emptied precisely... And there goes the poo! And if we thought he was in trouble before, boy, oh boy, is he in trouble now. They all are. There may not be much more poo scored in those measuring cylinders from this point on, because it's going to get terribly heavy underfoot, I think. And there he is, plucky Thomas. He hasn't moved for the best part of this game. Harriet is now covered in quite a lot of poo herself. Oh, now this is clever. Dominic is either attempting to make a run for it, or he's using the side of his lane to make his way back. They're running out of time here, and Thomas falls over the 73rd time during this game.
Time's up.
And it really is all over now. And Harriet has collected the most poo, and Thomas has done absolutely nothing. Unless, of course, you count rolling around, falling over, and laughing. Back behind those podiums. Thomas, talk us through that.
Well, I ran back, slipped, poo everywhere, and then I was slipping and sliding about for the rest of the event.
But your measuring cylinder was absolutely bone dry. No, because I don't think I've ever seen a more messy contestant. You were rolling around in poo from start to finish. So help yourself to another year sphere, Harriet. Choices. Is that a good one or is it a bad one? Time to count up those year spheres. And remember, AD years are added to your total and BC years are subtracted from it. Thomas, let's have a look at it. What is it? Oh, Thomas, it's 305 BC. Alexander the Great conquered Egypt that year, so that leaves you with a minus score. Harriet, let's start with yours. 1840 AD, Queen Victoria married Prince Albert. Let's have a look at the second one. 1492 AD, Christopher Columbus discovered the New World. And the third. 1665 AD, the plague happened round about then. Let's have a look at your final sphere. Oh, it's another AD, 1805 AD, the Battle of Trafalgar. That has given you a very, very impressive total indeed, Harriet. You've ended up with 6,802. So, Dominic, that is your total to beat.
Oh.
1415 AD, Henry V beat the French at Agincourt. Let's have a look at that second one.
I think this is going to be a BC.
Well, you're wrong. It's 978 AD. Ethelred the Unready became King of England that year. Let's have a look at your final sphere. Oh, it's a BC, but it's not disastrous. It's 449 BC. Sea Battle of Salamis between the Greeks and the Persians, which means you're comfortably in second place with 1,944. So all that means that today's winner with a score of 6,802 is Harriet. Congratulations, Harriet. You go home with our star prize. The kind of prize you can only win on this show. Because, sadly, it's just some old rubbish that Rattus has fished out of the time sewers. Come on then, Rattus, do your worst.
Well, when it comes to Vikings, everyone always remembers all the killing and the burning and the pillaging, and they forget about all the really important stuff, like how they had excellent ear hygiene. And to prove it, today's prize is a genuine Viking ear spoon.
Rattus, tell me you've at least cleared out the earwax.
Of course I have, Dave. Viking earwax is delicious.
There you go, Harriet. I hope you enjoy it. Well, it just remains for me to say thanks to Thomas, Harriet and Dominic, and no thanks whatsoever to Rattus.
I like to serve.
You've been watching Gory Games. Goodbye.
Was that show messy enough for you? Or would you have preferred a little more poo? Have you had your fill of blood, guts and gore? Or have we left you still wanting more? We'll keep watching.
We'll be back again.
With Horrible Histories Gory Games.
Horrible Histories Gory Games.
Welcome back, everybody. Before brand new Horrible Histories. Hey, you're looking forward to Friday Download later. Who isn't? Hey, I certainly am. He certainly is. I can give you a reason why, because he's in it. Here's a little lady telling you a little bit about her. Hello.
Hi, I'm Carly Rae Jepsen, and you can catch me on Friday Download this week. It's a brand new series, so don't miss out. Friday, 6 p.m., CBBC.
Oh, wow, that's Mrs. Call Me Maybe.
Call me definitely.
In the meantime, you can call him Hacker, him Dodge, me Chris, and this Mr. Aidan Davis from Friday Download, the world's second greatest dancer. That's right, numero dos. But he's here.
Whoa.
Yeah?
Did you say number 2?
Yeah, that's factually correct.
Who's this magical number one that you
Who's number one?
Yeah.
Aiden, give it over. It's me!
Yeah,
Yonks!
See, look at that. It's easy, isn't it? Hey, look at that. Hey, got the thing. Thank you.
well done, young.
Take yourself down.
Whoa. Play the music. That's the way it's supposed to be done.
Very good.
All right, cut the thing.
You've done that before, Aiden.
Move on, Yonks. Move on.
Anyway, you've been sending in your questions for Aiden. We're going to read a few of them now. This is from Georgia. Hello, Georgia. Georgia says, not that Georgia.
Georgia in America.
Is, other than yourself, which Friday Download presenter would you say is the best at dance download?
Right, best dancer would have to be Rich, but the best performer, gotta be Kel.
Gotta be Kel.
Gotta be Kel.
He's our friend.
Is that because he's rubbish?
Oh, he's hilarious.
This is from Kira. Hey, Kira. Kira says, if you had wings,